that is launched out to deep left field. Big fly for Mike Trout, 1-0 Halos. Ground ball to second base, Red Heaple falls down, picks it up, fires the first. The Angels have no hit. The Seattle Mariners. That is drilled out to left field. The Angels are going to have a 1-0 lead. Anthony Rendell with a big fly, his third.
Hey guys, I'm Alex Curry.
This is Joe Adele here with the Los Angeles Angels.
This is Brendan Marsh.
This is Chris Rodriguez.
And you're listening to the All Angels Podcast.
And welcome to another edition of the All Angels Podcast. This is our Mother's Day special, second annual Mother's Day special. And this year I am privileged to be joined with Debbie Skaggs. Debbie, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Thank you. Pretty good.
So obviously we're both wearing it. You can see it over my shoulder, the Tyler Skaggs Foundation. We'll get to that for sure, because I know that's a big part of not only what you do, but been a part of kind of our lives too for the last couple of seasons. But first, what I like to do with these Mother's Days is kind of get the idea of the mother's perspective on their, I talk to these athletes and you kind of ask them about, how was it being recruited, or how was it being scouted, and they're just kind of like, oh, it was cool, this and that. But I feel like the mothers, the family members are always kind of, just along for that ride just as much as, as the actual athlete. I like to get their point of view from everything. And Tyler was no different, obviously being a Southern California kid and playing baseball, always had also had other interests in other sports. But when he was young, and you being, obviously a coach, when did you decide to get him involved in organized sports, or at what age?
I mean, Ty loves sports. He played, soccer at the age of 4, played t-ball. He loved basketball. I mean, he played flag football. So he was like a kid who just dove into everything. He just loved being involved. He loved sports. He loved interacting with other kids. He was just that type of kid.
Every kid, especially when they're young, I just feel like, you can't really tell which ones are the pure athletes until maybe they get a little bit older in middle school and stuff like that. When did you for you click, Ty might be different than, maybe some of his friends?
I don't think I really realized it till probably, entering high school. I mean, because he played so many different sports, and he was constantly going from we'd have my Ty's stepdad and my husband would say, dang Deb, you have him involved in everything. I mean, he would have a baseball game, then he'd have a basketball game, then he'd have another baseball game, and he was just going from one thing to another. It was a great experience. So the time that we were able to spend together was amazing. I always tell people he's a little mama's boy, but I mean he loved sports. Everything about sports he loved.
So obviously with your background in softball, it seems like baseball was just the easiest kind of translation for you two. Is that something you guys really clicked on as far as even terminology and stuff like that? Was that the main sport where you guys can go back and forth?
Oh yeah. I mean, Ty literally came to practice literally every day. If he didn't have something going on after school, I mean, he loved playing catch with the girls, going out and shagging balls in the outfield during batting practice. I mean, he had such an amazing relationship with the players that we had in our program. And to this day, I still have a connection with those kids. And a lot of times those kids do a lot of stuff for the foundation. They make a lot of contributions, getting the softball girls together. So they almost felt like he was like a little brother to them. So it's kind of cool. It's really cool. They bring out all these photos of Ty when he was younger. It's pretty crazy though, to think that these were like his second mom. I mean, it could be right now, but you know what I mean? So yeah. And Ty always remember the good times that we had on the softball field. So
when he's going through through little league and then high school, again, you being a softball coach, did you kind of want to step back away from it, or were you there kind of coaching him also on the side, or did you want just the coaches to coach him?
Hey, sometimes the coach in you comes out, and I try to step back and I mean, Ty was the type of kid that a lot of times, we knew he was one of the better kids on the team. So a lot of times we didn't always always stroke him and say, oh my God, you were so amazing. It was more of you could have done this better. You could have done that better. So Yeah. It was more of like Ty, he's got pretty thick skin. So right. I guess in this business, you have to have thick skin, because there's just so many people out there that bash you and say things. It's really hard. People don't really realize how hard it is to be a professional athlete.
Yeah.
With people, there's just so many people who are sitting behind their screen bashing you. So I feel really terrible for people that have to go through that. It's not a good thing.
Yeah, and even doing this, and again, we've doing the podcast stuff, like we've only met maybe a handful of athletes, but every time you kind of do recognize that, hey, these guys are just like normal people. They have interests. They might, they like basketball. They like to go out, play golf. They like music, and it's kind of humanizes them. And I think, the conversation we had with Tyler is the same thing. Was like before, like, oh my God, this is a big athlete on TV. You see him like every fifth day, and then you talk to him, you're like, oh dang, okay, like we have that in common. Okay, we have that in common, and that's with a lot of players too, not just him. But like, I think you're right though. It's just like people have this preconceived notion that like, they should be able to do this and that. And it's like, yeah, they're human too. Like they mess up or they, whatever. And I think, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Ty was just he loved sports. He growing up, like I said, he played multiple sports, and I think nowadays, like it's funny that high school kids they do too much specialization.
Yeah.
They don't play just one sport. Multiple sports. Ty was a kid who played, he played football and he played basketball and he played baseball, so he was going from season to season. So it was pretty crazy.
Oh yeah, and having a little bit of a coaching background myself and high school football, like we see that too with kids that are specializing. Like, yeah, okay, but like it's funny that some of our best offensive linemen also played basketball because that worked. Their footwork was great when they came over to play football. It's just, you're right. It seems like everything's kind of specialized now, and not as many kids are kind of crossing over. When Tyler was in high school, obviously at Santa Monica, local boy, Southern California. When was the first time that you remember that? It could be for college, or it could have been, a professional scout that, wow, he's going to be able to possibly do this, beyond high school.
Well, he went to a Stanford baseball camp. He was invited to a you have to get an invite to the Stanford baseball camp, and I think that kind of opened the door for him. And then he was asked to be on a couple travel teams, because we've been on local travel teams. He wasn't really doing like travel teams where, like these kids pack it in and play in different states. Ty didn't really do that too much. It was more of just like local stuff with his friends and stuff. And he was asked to play on the Ohio Warhawks. So that was something that he really enjoyed. They won a national championship. He pitched. So there was a lot of different things. He was also in the area code games, which was also another thing that kind of helped him out a lot. And those were kind of special things for him.
He ends up getting drafted out of high school. Do you remember that process of like, wow, now I got scouts, calling me or calling Ty and coming by and introducing themselves, like, like games? Do you remember you're like mostly you, like your kind of mindset during all that?
It was pretty crazy though. I mean, the thing is, it's like, so like it was difficult because I wasn't always at all the games. I tried to be but I was coaching softball too. Right. So like the team that we had when Ty was a senior, that group my softball group was a really great group. So we were making it to the playoffs and doing a lot of things. So I tried to get to as many games as possible. But we have phone calls, we had emails, and Ty was a young senior. He was he was only 17 years old when he got drafted, so he wasn't even 18 yet. So it was a lot of times they had to go through myself or through his dad or through his stepdad to talk to him and stuff. So it was pretty crazy. I mean, we were still doing. He had already, by the time he was a senior year, he had already decided he was going to go to Cal State Fullerton because he really liked the coaches there a lot. But he also took some other visits to other places. So it was kind of like, I told him, I said, you got to get ready like you're going to college. You can't really think about that. You got to go take the SAT. You got to go do all this other stuff. So, being a normal kid, I mean, he's at 16. I'm, oh, Mom, I don't need to take the SAT. I'm like, yes, you do. You have to have a backup plan. Yep. You never know what's going to happen these days. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, get drafted and injury can happen. Now you have nothing else to fall back on. So you're absolutely right. But he does get drafted in 2009, first round in the supplemental part of the first round. I believe it was like 40 or 41. That day, draft day, do you remember yourself like waking up and thinking this is the day that, his life and kind of by connection, your life changes, today kind of
It
thing?
was kind of a roller coaster day. I mean, it was a school day, and Ty went to school, I went to school, and then we were having some of his friends over, some of his really good friends that he went to high school with, that he just, that were in his wedding too. And so it was actually pretty nerve wracking, because I think Ty had an injury his senior year with his ankle, so he didn't pitch as much as he probably would have if he hadn't been injured. Because I think that year he also threw like a no hitter against, and Tommy Lasorda was at that game, so it was really cool. Tommy Lasorda came up and talked to him, so that was really cool. And then he had hurt his ankle in that game, so then he, of course, he was trying to work through it and not have to sit, but he did have to take a little bit of time off. But I think he wasn't sure where he was going to go. Things were getting like, he wasn't really sure. So I mean, he was happy because the Angels were his team. Like, his stepbrother loved the Angels. We went to a million Angel games. They'd go early to batting practice in the outfield, and it was pretty crazy.
Yeah, and it worked out great. Again, Santa Monica High School, Angel Stadium. You're going to be in that system now. So obviously that's a big plus, staying home. But you find out pretty quickly that it's a business.
Oh, yeah.
Baseball's a business. He ends up getting traded to Arizona. Granted, it's not East Coast or Midwest. It's Arizona. But still, how did you feel about him being traded, and how did he feel about being traded to Arizona?
It was definitely a wake up to, like, yeah, this is a business, and they're going to do what they need to do for this season. I mean, prospects are prospects. Sometimes prospects don't pan out. So he knew that he would have to go and prove himself with another organization. But he was happy that another organization wanted him, because I know Jerry Dipoto, he was really high on Tyler, and so I think if the Angels wouldn't have taken him, I think the Mariners had the next pick, because I think they picked Matt Davidson, I think, and Matt Davidson's one of Ty's friends too. So I think that they probably would have taken Tyler next. I'm not positive, nothing's for sure.
So he goes to Arizona. He works over there. He makes his debut with Arizona, major league debut
against Miami, I think, right?
Yeah. And then how was that, seeing you see him grow up, you see him in high school, you see him get drafted, you see him do the trade through the minors, and then he's there on the mound starting a game. What was your emotional state?
It was like, is this, pinch me, is this a dream or what? It was so awesome. It was awesome to be surrounded with, family and friends, and everybody that cared about Tyler was there. And I think we had like a group of like 20 people to maybe 25 people, because I have a pretty large family. Right. And it was nice to go there and support Tyler. And he always knew that his family was there to support him, whether he did well or he didn't. I mean, we were always there. I mean, he was a hardworking kid, so we supported him in any way we could.
And how did you find out? Like, how much in advance did you know that he was starting that day? Because like you said, you had a lot of people there, so that's a lot of tickets to get organized. If they're coming from the distance, getting flights and all that stuff. How long was that leeway?
Oh, well, I think he called us the night before. I think yeah. Most of the time when he would be pitching, he'd call us the night before, and we're usually scrambling to. Luckily, I can't remember if we flew there or we drove there, because there were times during spring training that we would drive out for the game and then drive back that night. So we do between my husband and I, we could drive the 6 hours or whatever it is. So it's not too bad. But yeah, it was definitely exciting, and it made you feel so emotional that sometimes it almost feels like it's not real, and it feels like it's like you feel like he's still a little kid, but he's in a different venue. You know what I mean? It's like,
and the venue's a lot bigger this time than
because I've been watching him pitch for so long.
Right. It's crazy because you're so isolated on the pitchers. Like, obviously before every pitch, everyone's looking there. And then you kind of, don't realize, like, wow, he's in this huge, stadium compared to, a high school mound or minor league mound for that matter. So he makes his debut in 2012, gets traded back to the Angels in 2013. I'm guessing that had to be,
So,
I'm guessing he was thrilled. You were thrilled to have him back home. Just
oh yeah,
how was that?
it was it was so exciting. He was so happy to come back home. And I mean, Angels have always been a team that he loved. He, the people. I mean, he basically like he roomed with Mike Trout in Iowa at Cedar Rapids. They stayed at the same family home, and it was, he was good friends with Garrett. And well, I don't know. I think Gene at that time. I'm not sure Gene was still on the team, Gene Segura, but that was that whole group of like Gene and Garrett Richards, Patrick Corbin, and Tyler, and Mike Trout. So it was a pretty cool class. They stayed buddies. I mean, Patrick has just been amazing. We still stay in contact with him. He talks to Carly like all the time, and he's part of our honorary board for the foundation. So he's just been amazing.
Yeah, you look back at that draft class, like you mentioned, it's him, Trout, Grichuk was in there.
Yeah,
It's just these guys are still playing, and it's X amount of years. You don't see that from any draft class necessarily in any team. He was part of a very special Angels draft class for sure. So he gets back in Anaheim. He's home. You can have more family now at the ballpark.
Oh yeah.
How are you when you're watching him pitch? Are you, because I've seen people like, I can't watch, I'll let the people around me react to how it goes, or are you like just zoned in and watching every pitch?
Oh, I'm just zoned in. I'm not like, I can watch the game. Like I mean, my husband and I, we always just sit together and, we just cheer him on and, get excited when he pitches really well, and, and support him if he doesn't have a great game. But it's so awesome to be able to just, drive and go to the game and wait for him after the game and go to dinner and stuff. So it was a great fit. It was a really good fit. It was so nice. And Tyler that was one of the things that he loved. He loved his teammates. Like he was just and he was, he was just a humble kid. Like, you could walk up to him and he'd talk to you. He was never like a kid that was like, oh, I'm a professional athlete. I'm, this, that, whatever. He would say hi to anybody and talk to anybody. He treated them as if they were, on the same level for sure.
Yeah. And a funny story too. So, our Johnny, he knew Luis Valbuena pretty well from Luis's time in the minor leagues. He connected with him there, and they've been friends forever. So one game, he got tickets from Luis, and I guess all the family tend to sit in the same area. And Tyler was on the mound, and I think he was like 3 or 4. He always liked telling the story, and he told Tyler this too. He was like 3 or 4 seats away from like where you were, and he just every once in a while would look over there, and you would be super zoned in on, like, he wanted to go over there and like say hi or whatever, but you were just like kind of like so focused, like, I'll let her kind of be over there and stuff like that. But yeah, he's seen you in action during a game of Tyler's, and you're. How you
locked in.
Yeah, locked in on the game and stuff like that. Yeah, definitely. Sure. And kind of what you were mentioning with Tyler, that kind of humble how he was, is because we and how this interview started with him was just, hey, I'm gonna reach out to him on Instagram, like a DM, just a random DM, and just kind of, hey, blah blah blah. Didn't think I was gonna get anything back, just whatever, take a shot. And I remember I was getting food at a Mexican restaurant down the street from our house, and I got a message back, and I damn near dropped my phone because I was like, it says Tyler Skaggs with message. I was like, wait, what? And so I read it. We kind of contacted. We worked it all out, and so the interview was great. He was great, easy to set up a schedule, blah blah blah, this and that. And then this was around the beginning of spring training of 2019, and so I was like, oh, thanks for the interview. He's like, oh, you guys coming to Tempe? I'm like, I think like in 2 weeks. Like, oh, hit me up. You have my number now. Just text me and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, sure. But you hear that from people, so whatever. Yeah. Oh, let me know when you're in town and this and that. So I was like, whatever. So I didn't really think anything of it. And then we go to Tempe that first night. We're in downtown Scottsdale. I might have had some adult beverages that night. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. I don't care. I'll text Tyler. I was like, hey, Tyler, we're in town, blah, blah, blah. Is there any way we can meet up before or when you get to the complex tomorrow? And again, same thing. Like, I put my phone down, start talking with my friends. And next thing you know, that my phone lights up and I'm like, okay, I didn't plan this far ahead. Like, okay, what's going on tomorrow? Like, what time when we leaving? So yeah, and he was like, oh yeah, come by. I usually get there around this time or that time. I was like, oh, we're doing this. Okay, cool. But yeah, he was always kind of like, yeah, sure, let's meet up. Or, oh yeah, sure, I could take 2 2-3 minutes out of my time to just say hi, sign a ball or whatever. And that was like something that really endeared me to him, was just like, oh yeah, no problem. I was like I was texting a friend or something like that. That was awesome. Like interaction I had with him. And then we kind of kept in contact, like through DMs, like throughout the season and stuff like that. So he was always that kind of a guy. He always that guy that was easy to talk to. And even after a game, you saw a bad game, it's like, hey man, get him next time, keep your head up, blah, blah, blah. And he never blew you off, I guess. You have a tough game. It's easy for someone to kind of be like, yeah, okay, whatever. I don't want to hear it or deal with it or anything like that. But he always like, okay, thanks, man. I appreciate it. And he was always that kind of a guy that never took, himself too seriously, I guess is a way of putting it.
Sure. Yeah, no, I mean, that was one of the things that was great about Tyler. Like, I mean, it didn't make a difference who you were at the stadium. He always respected you and respected what you did. And he was just, always tried to be there for people. So that was one of his very endearing qualities that he had, that he was very humble and very giving back all the time. And for that, I'm the most proud of. Forget about what you do on the field. Just how you treat other people is the most important thing in life, I think.
And was that a big thing for you too? Like, I know when I grew up, my parents were always go over there, shake their hand, go over there and say hello. Like, was that a huge thing for you? Like, when Ty was growing up and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Look him in the eye. Whenever Tyler would talk, I always tell people, don't be looking at your phone. Don't be distracted. And he was really good about that. He would be, whenever you talk to him, it was like you were the only person in the room when he was talking to you. So that was something that, I loved about Tyler. He was just, it was one of his greatest qualities, is that he was just one of those honest, very humble, giving, enduring kids that just loved, giving back and talking to people. And like I said, he never took himself too seriously.
Yeah, definitely. And you can see that too. And there's always some shots of him in the dugout dancing or just, making a funny face that always seemed to kind of pop its way up in like, Twitter through like a meme or something. Like he would be like a walking meme at some points, like everything. And it was definitely, you could tell you had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So one of the things, and this day means, I'm guessing a lot for you, but now kind of going through what we went through recently, means a lot for us too, because actually it was the last and I just thought about it too, like a couple of days ago, July 13th, the no-hitter, when you're there throwing out the first pitch, it was our last game together as a group, seeing a game in person, because obviously 2020 with COVID and everything, we couldn't make it to the ballpark.
Yeah.
But for you, how was July 13th? Were you going to be at the ballpark no matter what, or was that kind of maybe like a last minute decision, or how was that?
Well, because they were going to do something for Tyler, then I think that was one of the reasons why we were going to go back. They were going to have a special thing for him. So that was one of the reasons we went, and they had asked me to throw out the first pitch. And of course I was nervous as heck. And then I also text Andrew, because I still stay in contact with Andrew. And I'm like, Andrew, like, dude, should I like be on the mound? Should I actually be on the mound? Should I be on the grass? He's like, oh, Debbie, Tyler would be disappointed if you're not going to pull the rubber. You know what I mean? So even I still talk to Mark Gubizat all the time. Like, he texts me. He's so amazing. And he's
awesome.
Like, you got to throw from the mound, Debbie. So it's like, okay, way to put the pressure on. There was no warm up or anything either. I was just like, here we go. So yeah, I mean, it was great because I had Carly and I had my husband Dan, and then I had Tyler's stepbrother Garrett. So they were all my cheerleaders.
Yeah, we were for us too, and it just kind of worked out that way. We were originally, me and my wife were planning to go down to San Diego that weekend because we have family down there and actually go catch a Padre game. But when everything happened, we kind of made it a point like, no, we're going to go Friday. And then if we go down to San Diego Saturday, then we go down Saturday, but we have to make this game Friday. And then again, that's where we all made that decision. My wife, myself, Johnny, and Chris, we're all going to go do it. So we did that. And I just remember, not knowing if you were going to be there, if Carly was going to be there, or what the situation was, because at this point, like I talked to Carly a couple times and realized like, oh wow, she actually follows us on Instagram or blah blah blah. I was kind of blown away by that. But you threw that pitch you said you were nervous. It had no way of showing, because like I've thrown out a first pitch at a minor league game down at the single A affiliate over here for Inland Empire, or for the Angels. And I was like, I was up and in, but I haven't thrown a pitch since I don't know how long. And for you to do it in front of all those people with the circumstances, when you saw it get there in the middle, was there some kind of a relief and kind of like, what was your feeling at that point?
Well, I was thinking about Tyler the entire time, and because Tyler and I, we have this funny interaction. Like he always would like say like he would do like some yoga and stuff, and he's like, "Mom, you can't do that." I'm like, "Sure, I can." So I go down and do it. So it's the same thing. Like, I mean, Ty and I played catch all the well, not since he got into high school, but we were always constantly playing catch. But I felt his spirit. I felt him like he was there with us. So I think he helped me. I think it helped me guide the ball to Andrew. So I think there was a higher presence there.
Definitely. And then too, you talk about higher presence, and then the game starts, and everything that goes around that game, from Trout's home run to, the distance of the home run to the last time there was a combined no-hitter in the state of California was like Ty's actual birthday, all this stuff that kind of you see at the game, but then comes out later. Do you remember how you felt when you saw that there was going to be a no-hitter, and then when it actually got that last out and the guys do what they did on the mound? Like, do you remember how you felt?
It was overwhelming. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I mean, still, I felt like I was still kind of like in, in a different place, because a lot of times, like, I wasn't really even sure what was going on with the game because, so many people were coming in and out of the suite to see us and stuff. So it was tough until towards the end, until you realize, wow, they haven't given up a hit yet. You know what I mean? So like we were talking to, a couple of the people that came in, like Carpino and Epler and people. So they were constantly talking, and then, like some of the wives and stuff. So, and then my family was there, and then, Ty's dad's family was there and everything. So it was crazy. But then to look up towards the end of the game and think, wow, that's unbelievable. I mean, it's funny that I was just texting with Taylor. What's his first name?
Taylor Cole?
Yeah, Taylor Cole.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was just texting with him. He was just checking in because I had posted something about the foundation, and he's just checking in. I mean, it's nice because he always checks in like, hey, how you doing, Debbie? And this and that. So he's a really good guy. So.
And then just the reaction from the players seems so right to put the jerseys there and
that was definitely like overwhelming.
Yeah, that was crazy too, because like when we were all together and we did the whole, you don't mention it when it's in the middle, but you kind of nudge your buddy and kind of just give him that look like, hey, something's going on over there kind of deal. And then same thing, like we absolutely lost our mind when they got the final out, and then we start seeing the guys come out of the dugout, and then it turned from like absolute like euphoria to like, oh my god, like there was something bigger behind this, and just and that whole day for me was like a roller coaster. You come out and they do the presentation before the game. Me and my wife were emotional. Then Mike comes out and hits that home run, and then like, all right, we got this game. There's no way. And then 7th, 8th inning, I think that's when we first realized, wow, there's like a no-hitter going on, and then the no-hitter happens, and it was an absolute crazy day. I'm sure for you, and then like I mentioned for us too. But
it definitely was surreal.
Yeah, and then and obviously something that came out from this, and I think you put out a tweet because a lot of people were wondering where they can donate and help Tyler and stuff like that. And I think close to or after you created the Tyler Skaggs Foundation, and that's something you've been working with obviously since then. Talk a little bit about what the plan is for the Tyler Skaggs Foundation, and like what's your overall like mission statement, if you will.
I mean, so we're doing a lot of different things, and we have some really super exciting things that are that are coming up. But one of the things the reason that we had created the Tyler Skaggs Foundation was we wanted a way to honor the way that Tyler lived, and he would always talk about the importance of teamwork and leadership and confidence in life. And we felt like that would be something that he'd want to do to help other kids, to empower them to, by supporting athletic programs or other initiatives that would help them to, move on in their athletic endeavors. Because Tyler had such an amazing experience with sports, just the friendships, the teamwork, the confidence, the skills that gave him to become an amazing young man and husband and and son. Those are qualities, like those are more important than what he was doing out on the field, is what he was giving back to his community. I mean, people don't realize that he spoke to his middle school, his elementary school, his high school. I mean, they would just call him and he would do it. He, like, just like as when you guys hit him up, it's the same thing. People would just like, hey, is there any way you can come and talk? And it's like, hey, yeah, no problem, let's work this out. So those are things that we want to do with the foundation. We want to create that kind of program so that other kids could feel that type of commitment and learn these values that they can use later on in life. Because as we know, sports also gives us a lot of different things that we can use in the real world when we actually start working a job or something. So what we are doing, we just sponsored a high school invitational. So we sponsored some games. We were out there, or I was out there, and it was nice. It was nice. I haven't seen high school baseball in a while, so it's kind of cool. I was able to meet a lot of the kids, and a lot of the kids already, especially the Samo kids, know Ty's history at Samo, and so they're fully aware of what's happening. But some of the other kids really didn't know. It was nice to go out to Culver City and introduce myself and talk a little bit about the foundation to the kids, and just get a little bit more awareness at the high school level. I mean, we're doing a pretty good job with, like, the things that we're doing with the 5K, and but what we're really excited about is that we are sponsoring the foundation is going to sponsor a baseball club in South Central, it's Compton, South Central, at an elementary school, ages 3rd through 5th. It is going to be the Barack Obama charter school baseball club. That's what we're going to be sponsoring. We're going to provide all the equipment. Each kid's going to have their own glove. They're going to have their own ball. We're going to renovate the field. We're going to supply them with little uniforms, and we're just going to try to grow the game, because, as you know, a lot of those kids probably don't have a lot of exposure to baseball. So it's open to either girls or boys, grade 3rd through 5th. We're going to also hire a coach to coach the team, and the kids will learn how to play. And then, there's other things that we're thinking about doing. If a kid plays 3 years in the program, then and they love the game, we'll sponsor that child for wherever the next level that they're going to go. So that's something that we're just starting, and we're super excited about it. Like, it's nice to be able to have an influence on young kids and try to teach them the values of sports and the values of teamwork and the values of leadership.
Yeah, and then too, like, now that more and more of that stuff is kind of coming available, obviously with 2020, there wasn't a lot of, you kind of mentioned it too, like now there's high school baseball. Like before last year there was nothing going on. So how hard was it to this kind of, you have all these ideas and you want to do this and you want to do that, but you just couldn't?
Yeah, well, we were thinking about, so last year we wanted to do a high school all-star game. So we're gonna do that in July, a high school all-star game that will be mostly, hopefully, the top players in Southern California. Right now we haven't locked down a venue yet. We're working on a couple places. So, stay tuned for that on the social media, and you'll be able to know when that's going to happen. But we also did a lot of things that helped out during the COVID. We did a lot of grab and go lunches. Right. Yeah. We provided Thanksgiving meals. We also provided stockings and games for the children at UCLA Mattel Hospital. So those are things that we did, COVID wise. We didn't really get to do the baseball part of it last year, but this year we're really trying to hit it hard now that, things are kind of opening up and we're able to, get more involved.
Yeah. And that's great too. Cause I remember the toy drive, and I remember the Thanksgiving, dinners and stuff like that. And that was a great, like you mentioned, like you couldn't do the baseball stuff, but you just didn't sit there and just wait for it to come around. You're still active and doing things in the community, which is great. So, obviously I'm wearing a hat, you're wearing a shirt over my shoulder. Tell the people, if they want, I have a sweatshirt that, it's a little warm for me in this little room. So that's why I didn't wear it. But, tell the people where they can get, a hat, a t-shirt, a sweatshirt.
So we should be amping up the new store. So hold tight for the new merchandise. but they still can go to the TylerSkaggsFoundation.org and donate. Any amount is awesome. We'll take anything and everything, because most of everything's going to go to the programs that we're beginning. Because I know the baseball program's going to, the little 3rd and 5th grade baseball club's going to take a lot of our time and effort to try to make sure that we can grow the game, because that's a program that they don't have now. So we're really going to just renovate that field and make it playable for the kids. But check out social media when the store's up and running, and I'd love for anybody to order a hat or a sweatshirt or a t-shirt. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, definitely check it out. Like she mentioned, TylerSkaggsFoundation.org, or you can go to the link in the bio of either our Twitter or our Instagram. You click on our link and it's right there, part of our link tree. So definitely check it out. Something that we've been a part of and feel grateful to be part of, kind of wedged our way in there, but it is what it is.
No, thank you. You've done an amazing job. Like you have done, you and everybody there have done an amazing job to sponsor Tyler and to get his name out there. And we so appreciate everything you've done for us. It's amazing. We're lucky to have people like you in our corner, and it's amazing. And we're so fortunate because the virtual 5K was amazing too. And I loved watching the video of you running. That was awesome.
Yeah. I said my wife was like way down there. I text Carly like when I signed up and everything. I'm like, I don't come out running often, but I guess I will for this for this cause. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. And my wife also had a blast. She's a runner, so she was like, oh yeah, let's do it. I'm like, all right, cool. So that was easy convincing on that one. But yeah, the 5K was great. And then the strikeout thing we're doing this year and then we did last year, just trying to find a fun way of donating. And we really appreciate too, like not only like you Carly, yourself, just always kind of, hey, thank you for this, thank you for that. Like that shows that we're not just we're people are getting it, and it's a lot of fun for us to donate too.
Yeah, well, maybe we can somehow get together and figure out a way that we can even make it even bigger.
Oh, so, yeah, I mean, we would love to. We would love to.
Yeah, I mean, you're great. So it's this whole thing is amazing, and like again, we really appreciate everything you've done for the foundation and for Tyler, and the support just means so much to us.
Yeah, any little bit that people can do, it's like you said, $1, $5, $10, whatever, exactly, helps. And Johnny was a big charity guy. Like the reason why I think I got into this, or the idea of donating to the Tyler Skaggs Foundation last year with the strikeout thing, was Johnny did a lot of charitable stuff with a different like organizational group in Riverside, and I thought that was really cool. I saw the smile it brought to his face, and then the kind of what he did to himself. Like, yeah, I like giving back, and I was always trying to figure out a way for us as like the podcast and the social media, like how do we get involved in something? And so I just figured the timing of everything, and that worked out best for us, is like, let's make this fun. Let's get like a running count on something. And obviously with Tyler being a pitcher, like, well, it's a 60-game season, so obviously it's not going to be a full season. Like, let's just count strikeouts and go $1 strikeout. And all three of us kind of looked at each other like, all right, let's do it. And then just kind of grew from there. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I really appreciate you guys' work that you are for, obviously for Tyler, and just the work you're doing around the community and getting baseball going in different parts of different cities that might not have that kind of availability is awesome to see.
Yeah, it's going to be great. We're super excited to really start on this, and glad that we're going to be able to. We're going to work on the field between now and September, and we're hoping to start at the start of the school year for the kids. Yeah, so we just ordered all the equipment, and then we're coming up with a new logo for our first baseball club. So we'll see. I don't know what we're going to get for the little uniforms yet, but we'll figure something out.
Awesome. Debbie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For taking time out and chatting with us. And I want to wish you a happy Mother's Day. And again, thank you very, very much. And if there's anything else we can do, just don't hesitate to ask. I'm sure we can work our way over there and help out.
Thank you. I appreciate it.